The Festival of Lights celebrated with firecrackers here in the national capital, and that has caused the air to become highly toxic. We're talking about pollution levels crossing 1500 points, the PM 2.5 levels crossing 1500 points in various parts of the national capital. Has that ban on crackers gone up completely in smoke yet again for another year? Is the air again in the severe category and highly toxic to breathe? Who is really to be blamed here? Are the authorities very lax in enforcing this law? Where does the problem really lie is the big question. We have my colleague Shreya joining us to get us through what's really the situation outside at this point in time. Shreya, take us through the pollution levels this morning and how bad is it? Was it any different from last year?
Well, of course, it's the day after Diwali, and yet again, Delhi woke up to toxic air, and what we're breathing right now is far from the safer limits. The air quality index has reached very poor to severe categories in several parts of the national capital. And let me tell you that this year Diwali has been celebrated earlier than usual. Usually, it is celebrated in mid-November, and this time we can confidently say that the pollution levels have been relatively lower, because it is usually in the month of November that we see increasing stubble burning cases, and with that the Diwali celebration kind of fuels the pollution, the annual pollution crisis in the national capital. But as you rightly said, that despite strict government bans on firecrackers and appeals for green celebrations, last night's festivities across the city lit up the skies, but also set off alarming air pollution levels. And the air quality at most of the city's 40 monitoring stations stayed in the very poor range, with Anand Vihar and RK Puram recording the highest AQI levels at 395. And the most hazardous particulate matter, that is PM 2.5 and PM 10, and also sulfur dioxide, these are the toxic chemicals that are emitted from bursting firecrackers, and these particulate matter have sort of skyrocketed, which is and these are extremely hazardous for people's health. It causes severe breathing and respiratory issues, and right now we know that the AQI levels have increased to 300 and above 300. And let me tell you, it is not only the firecrackers that contributes to the air pollution, but during Diwali we have seen the vehicular emission also spikes up, because people keep traveling back and forth to their friends and families places, and they buy gifts, and it is the vehicular emission that kind of adds fuel to the fire. But undoubtedly we can say that because of weaker enforcement, the firecrackers have been burst, and we have seen people buying fireworks from the nook and corner of the city. And although there has been a blanket ban on fireworks, we've seen that home delivery is being done of these fireworks, and also cross-border smuggling of fireworks is being carried out quite openly. So these are the factors which have contributed to the very poor air quality in the national capital today.
Right, Shreya, thank you so much for getting us a true sense of what the situation is like early this morning. And to get more on this, we have with us our guest joining us. We have Atul Garg, Director of the Delhi Fire Services. We have Bhavreen Kandhar, environmentalist, member, My Right to Breathe. We also have Dr. Anil Gupta, member of the DPCC and the Central Pollution Control Board, the CPCB, joining us. Well, Dr. Anil Gupta, let me go across first to you. I've been going through your website early this morning, and the figures that I'm seeing are really giving a true picture of how bad the situation got in the last 24 hours alone. We're talking about PM 2.5 levels, the most highly dangerous PM 2.5, which has crossed the 1500 mark in various parts of the national capital. So where does the problem really lie? How are things not getting better but only worse by the year?
Yeah, good morning to you and all the viewers. The air quality index is being monitored by 39 monitoring stations in Delhi. And what was the picture yesterday morning remains the same today morning also. Yesterday morning, the pre-Diwali, the AQI was roughly 350 to 400. That is in the very poor category. And today morning also, the same thing is. I checked with the Sameer app yesterday night also. At about 10 p.m. the same picture was there. Anand Vihar 388. 11 p.m. also 386. So that means nothing has changed. But
sorry, sir, to interject, but I am on the DPCC site, which is showing figures above 1500 points. We're talking about PM 2.5. PM 10 is crossing 2000 in some areas. If you could check the DPCC site, which is an average of the last 24 hours. Of course, you know, when we talk about... Yes, sir, please.
I was about to reply on that. You interrupted me. You know.
Right,
see,
sir, please.
There are 39 monitoring stations. The main problem is of PM 2.5 and PM 10. When we talk of AQI, there is an average figure and there is a maximum figure. Whatever you mentioned is in maximum figure. I don't disagree with you. I agree with you. But notably, what I noticed yesterday night, there was increase in the sulfur contents. There was increase in the carbon monoxide and there was increase in the ozone. You know, there are 8 parameters when we say about the AQI. Out of the 8 parameters, the highest figure is known as the AQI. Normally, the 6 parameters, maybe it is the nitrous oxide, the sulfur, the carbon monoxide, the ozone, they are normally in the range of satisfactory 51 to 100 in the past months. But yesterday night, what I noticed, there was, the carbon monoxide was 119. The ozone was 38. And I've taken this picture from the Sameer app, which is the consolidated app for the monitoring station maintained by CPCB or DPCC. Then you can check it from that. And there is no doubt the main problem is of PM 2.5 and TN. And I have been mentioning this point right in the past also that we are not taking care of the internal pollution of the Delhi and NCR. The main contribution is the three things, that is the dust, which is there still prevailing, dust and the CND waste. The second is the stubble burning, and third is the vehicular pollution. No doubt, this increase in the carbon monoxide is mainly because of the vehicular and this crackers.
Sir, the biggest question regarding the enforcement of the cracker ban. We heard crackers non-stop. I mean, the crackers didn't stop even for a second. All night, we could hear crackers. It wouldn't let us even sleep. I mean, we all had to come to work this morning. Where do you think the problem lies when it comes to that ban that every year we hear there'll be no crackers this time around, but every year the story is the same. There's no change on the ground.
You are right. In fact, I have also heard so much bursting of the crackers. I think the regulation can be made, but enforcement is a problem. But what I mentioning you, that even after the bursting of the crackers, before the Diwali yesterday morning and today morning, the AQI has not changed much. This is what I mean to say. So we have to talk, we have to see the major problems related with the AQI of the PM 2.7. This is what I mean to say. I must mention that if the ban is there on the crackers, it must be strictly enforced. There should be a will. But I think the regulation should be made, keeping in the citizen of Delhi should be taken into confidence. There should be some measures to have some sort of crackers like green crackers, which doesn't. What technically I mean to mention that before the bursting of the cracker and after the bursting of the crackers, the AQI level has not changed much. This we must see. So we must see what is the real cause, which I have mentioned, that is the dust, the CND waste, the stubble and the vehicular. This is what, so we should not just bluntly blame the crackers that because of the crackers the pollution will increase. We have to see the other sources also. No doubt, with the bursting of the cracker, few parameters like the carbon monoxide, sulfur, nitrous and ozone have increased slightly from the satisfactory to the moderate level. But still the problem is of PM 2.5 and 10, which is there.
So which is what your website tells us a different story altogether when it comes to there has been a drastic change thanks to the firecrackers, because this is the overnight figure. Bhavreen Kandhari, please come in here. Has the authority completely failed to crack the whip yet again?
Yes, definitely, Divya. It's again a failure, and it starts. Of course, it's comes from the time when the firecracker ban is called. It was too late, so it's half-hearted. That's the problem every year. By September they announced it. By October, mid-October, it was notified. The crackers were manufactured. They were, traders had already distributed them. They were already in Delhi. And then all the, the smuggling and between the states, etc. All that happens. So that itself it's a farce, and I think it's the intent is not there. There is no political will. So if they want to really call for to curb the emissions from the crackers for the next year, they have to call for the ban now, and it will be quite fair on the manufacturers and traders as well. So now this yesterday, of course, we started with Diwali, and it ended up in a Halloween with these horrific figures on the DPCC website that you pointed out rightly, and totally reflecting this the systemic breakdown which is at every stage, from planning to implementation to oversight, enforcement. So all these things, have to be kind of, now, studied if you really have to ensure that this happens. And I do agree with Dr. Gupta at the point that, yes, there are comprehensive failures and many other streams, like we are when the waste is not being segregated and it's being thrown, it's being burnt on a daily basis. That itself is a contempt. It's a failure. So everything matters. But this debate of which is less and more, which is less toxic and more toxic, sorry, this is the poison our children are breathing. We are in a public health crisis. Every source of emission matters. We keep repeating this again and again, and we should not get into this debate of which is less and more. Construction dust is much more prevalent, and that needs to be worked out, and also all throughout the year, not at this time by visually bringing smoke guns and working on it. So everything doesn't have to be cosmetic. There has to be systemic changes, and they have to be brought in letter and spirit, because on the ground, we don't know. Now, DPCC doesn't have half the posts are vacant. So how do they expect the officers to go there and on the ground and work on it throughout the year? Not even now. I mean, there are so many violations. Even as of now, since the GRAP has been invoked, there are hundreds and hundreds of complaints that are coming up on the Twitter, etc., on the social media.
Right, Bhavreen, rightly pointed out that, since the pollution sources have already been identified, we know what the sources are, then why is it that it's so difficult to implement the solutions which we already have discussed time and again, year on year? Let's just get one of our callers calling in from Gurugram. We have Latush calling us. Latush, take us through the situation that, you faced yesterday in terms of the firecrackers, and early this morning in regard to the pollution that you're seeing outside your window.
Yes, hi. I'm a senior citizen, and I already have a problem with breathing. And this has made it even worse for me. We understand that, the authorities are they completely are busy with many other problems, but this is very important. We have a right to live and breathe in this country. We don't need this hazardous thing. The people who are concerned going out to control these people are not doing their job. The police, I've tried to phone them 3 or 4 times. They just switched off their phone.
Right, ma'am, of course, the police, they're not being able to enforce that ban on crackers. Do remember, there is a ban on crackers, not just now, but all the way through January. We have Atul Garg, Director of the Delhi Fire Services, also joining us. Sir, take us through the number of calls you got yesterday in regard to the kind of issues that people were having because of, these fires that had taken place in the national capital.
Good morning to all. It's a really bad day. From 5 o'clock yesterday to today morning, we have attended more than 300 calls. It is highest so far. So we can see there was a cracker. Because of that, there is an increase in fire call. Luckily, there was no big call. All small calls. There are few calls where the few persons were injured. But largely the situation remains peaceful. And I think we have handled all the call, but this was the highest call so far in my life, almost of the 20 years.
Right. Dr. Gupta, back to you now in regard to the kind of situation that we've seen. People obviously talking about how the implementation, as far as the authorities are concerned, where does the problem really lie? How do we fix this problem that we face year on year?
I think it is a collective effort. As a board, it is a regulatory body. They issue the direction, they do these studies, but the total administration, right from the SDM level, the DM level, or the civic agency, everybody has to come together. I think somewhere the coordination is lacking. Otherwise, this pollution is not we cannot solve it in a one day. It is a long term. And in Delhi, NCR, we don't have an environmental plan. We have the master plan. I think we need to have the environmental plan for 5 years or 1 year. Last year also we discussed the same thing. I was worrying that the situation would not improve. And the same thing is there today. It is not Diwali only. For last 15 days, we are breathing the air which is in very poor category. And everybody knows the sources now. Even a common man, because of the so much discussion in the media, everybody knows. But I don't think I should not blame directly, but on the sources of the pollution the work should be done on that. And one more thing, not in the case of PM 2.5, these firecrackers, lot of noise pollution. I must admit, yesterday night, I have noticed the small children, the street dogs and all these things. They were just mentally disturbed because of the noise pollution we are not discussing. Decibel, it reached to the 400 dB and all that. That we should discuss. I think the firecrackers have created a lot of noise pollution, but I still mention that for air quality index, which I noticed technically, there was no major changes except some these gases, nitrous, sulfur and all this increased. But still now you are showing the picture of the cleaning the road. This is creating dust. And anybody who passes through that roads will breathe this PM 2.5, which is, highly unhealthy for the health. The lungs, see, our lungs are red, now they are black, not the pink. So we must work around the year. It is not a Diwali problem. It is a round the year problem. I must say, when the weather is good, if we have a AQI round the year of 50, that is a good category, then only in the winter we can have the AQI of 100. So we have to work around the year to control this pollution. I have been mentioning this thing in the board of DPC and CPCB. We make a lot of regulation and all this thing, but implementation has to be done by the government. And this banning and these things, the citizen has to be taken into the confidence before the decision is made. You cannot do any blanket, like normally Diwali they celebrate. We see these firecrackers are manufactured in India and Sivakasi. Why can't we have a regulation that in the production of firecrackers, these hazardous chemicals are not used? This thing can be done by the administration. But, when source is not controlled, the problem will remain there. Yes.
Right. Bhavreen Kandhari, of course, weather plays a very crucial role, like he mentioned. It rained heavily this monsoon, which is why pollution should have been in check for most days of the year, at least over the last few months. We're talking about a 4-month long monsoon period. Bhavreen, also take us through, how the temperature is very high. It's 36 degrees in the national capital, 5 degrees more than it should be for this point in time, which basically means that pollutants can't stay in the air for too long. Has that made a difference as far as the pollution around Diwali is concerned?
Yes, I mean, if you see, of course, Diwali is also a bit earlier. So we have to, give that little bit of credit to that, because a week later, 10 days from now, when the temperatures will fall, obviously, last year, if you remember, Diwali was in November. And, as it is the PM 2.5, degrades. So Diwali then and all these other factors, with the stubble, etc., they all add to it. So right now we are at an advantage of the higher temperatures, and I wanted to actually just kind of say to what Dr. Gupta just said, that I'm sorry that no chemicals are green, and adding any chemicals or burning any chemicals. I mean, we're even fined if you put fire on on the leaves, which are the most natural component on earth right now. Even if you see anybody burning leaves at the park, the CPCB has a fine for that. So how can any chemical justify clean air? It's not possible. And also, like yesterday or whatever, even if you say 1 day or 2 days, it's very clearly connected that the short-term exposure of PM 2.5 is very, very clearly connected to heart attacks, to strokes, to breathing disorder. It's not only the breathing, it's a lot more and very, very severe. This is all connected, and it's all shown. The scientific research has shown that. So this short-term exposure itself is a huge, difficulty that I think one should be prioritizing.
Right, let's just get our caller Sunita Saptal calling us from Pune. Ma'am, was it any better for you as far as Diwali is concerned this time around? Was it better than previous years, or do you feel that the enforcement when it comes to the pollution, when it comes to solutions to pollutions, there is a complete lax?
There's a complete lack actually, because people do not understand. Everybody wants to have pure air, okay? But they do not understand these crackers give the most hazardous chemicals, leave it out. They are getting their children to burst these crackers, but they do not even realize those children of theirs are inhaling those same smoke. Okay, so let's talk about that immediate there, that immediate over there. They don't try to understand that. So they are getting their own children to inhale the most toxic. Then they say like, oh, please keep the child away from a smoker. You're trying to say you will keep the child away from a smoker because the cigarette smoking is hazardous to the child, right? But do you realize when you're bursting the cracker, you're getting the child to breathe so much of toxic in that half an hour or 1 hour, whatever, 5-10 minutes. It's equivalent to, you can say 10 packs of cigarettes. Isn't
right,
that hazardous?
We have Bhavreen Kandari with us, environmentalist. Bhavreen, where does the onus really lie as far as the responsibility of the citizen is concerned? What is it that parents need to do in order to ensure the safety of their own kids?
So, at every point in every time we speak on any emissions, of course, citizens have a role, but it's the governments and the authorities who have to lead. When the leaders lead, then things fall in place. After all, why is it that you cannot go into Singapore or New York City or London and just randomly burst fireworks? There are stricter provisions and that are implemented, and you have fireworks, etc. So you don't do that. And I know there are children who come from there and they actually burst crackers, here, because it's so exciting for them.
Bhavreen, wouldn't you say that mostly the kids are getting crackers because the parents are buying the crackers for them? Because we're talking about little children. So doesn't the onus also lie on the parents?
Of course it is. Absolutely. It's their failure. And then because the schools are doing a fantastic job, not from now, for over 2 decades of no to crackers. My children never burned crackers because they learned from the school and they came. But if the parents are encouraging, and I see these messages and comments, etc., where clearly, of course, it's a failure of parents, and they have to understand. And the guest who just spoke, about the thing. It's not even 10 cigarettes, and an hour is 80 cigarettes, and we've shown so many of these anecdotes, to kind of convince people that it's so harmful for the children. And like I said, the short-term exposure itself is extremely, extremely dangerous. If one thinks that it's only 1 night and 2 days and a few hours, and it's not like that. And that is the reason now these heart attacks and even strokes,
right,
etc. are going higher.
Let's just get in our caller, Tamanna, calling us from Noida. Tamanna, do you feel that this Diwali was any different, any better from previous years?
Absolutely not. Thank you for having me, by the way. And no, this Diwali was not at all different. In fact, what I could feel last night was that the number of crackers bursting this time were in fact more. They were intensified. It was I mean, I was up till 3:30 a.m. considering it was Diwali. I could hear crackers bursting up until 4 a.m. And year after year, all these guidelines are issued where we get to hear, there's a cracker ban. I don't know where are these guidelines coming from, and why do they just disappear into thin air when Diwali actually comes? Because evidently they're not working out well for the public. I mean, people are going. I've been living in Noida for almost 2 decades now, and it has been very difficult for me to come to terms with the fact that year after year, people are coming across with this situation where we're not able to breathe. You have bad throat. I see every other person having a bad throat. I see every other person coughing in the metro. And anybody I know is down with fever and a bad clogged throat, and everybody comes to me with these complaints that it's bad, it's so polluted, but nobody actually really is doing anything about it. Year after year we see that there's thick smog during October till November, and there are days when you can't have a sight of sun, and well, it's very harmful for a person. And I mean, my parents, they're middle-aged at this point. I mean, I am very concerned about them as well, because
very concerning. Absolutely, Tamanna. Thank you so much for calling us with all your concerns. Dr. Gupta, how would you respond? Tamanna voicing emotions that we all are feeling that Diwali this time had more firecrackers than ever before.
Yeah, I agree with it, Tamanna, and I must reply first to the Bhavri. I know there is no green chemical. What I mean to say, everybody knows the source of pollution. In the crackers, it is an organized sector. It is being manufactured under the guidance of the government here, Tamil Nadu. We can have a control on the manufacturing. Which type of inputs are used? In Delhi NCR, everybody knows who trades in the crackers. The government takes taxes in the form of GST. We cannot have the movement of the materials without the permission of the e-way invoice or something like that. So, if the will and wish is to control the crackers, we first must control the manufacturing of the crackers. We then second control the trading of the crackers. It is not like, the transportation is feasible without the permission of the government. Why can't we have? Saying no to crackers is easy, but when the revenue is concerned, the government do their job and they allow the manufacturing and they allow the trading. That should be controlled. What I mean to say that the material used in the manufacturing of the cracker, somehow that can be controlled, that can be regulated. This is what I mean to say. And no doubt, the noise pollution is a major problem, because that leads to the deterioration of the mental health of the human being and all these animals. That should also be talked about.
But Dr. Gupta, when you hear crackers non-stop through the night, you know exactly where they're coming from, because they're bursting crackers constantly. And yet you don't see any sort of law enforcement around. I didn't see anybody on the roads patrolling or making or ensuring that, the situation is curbed or controlled, even if it was to erupt. Firstly, there should have not been any firecrackers bursting at all. And if they were bursting constantly, why is it that nothing was being done about it?
I think you should have on your panel some police officer or some administration persons. That is the problem. What I mean to say, we should have control on the manufacturing. We should have control on the trading. This is what I mean to say. The making rules and regulation is easy. But where is the control? Who is going to control? It is the administration. Why you are allowing the manufacturing of the crackers? The first thing is this. Why you are allowing the trading of the crackers? That is the second thing. And we don't have any deep study the impact of crackers. But what is visible is the noise pollution that we should talk. Everybody suffered on that. And I request you to have somebody from the administration, why they have failed to allow these crackers bursting and all this thing. And one new concept has come. Initially, people used to burst the crackers on the roads. Now they are bursting from the high-rise building. Now they are bursting from their rooftops. Now the system has changed so that it is not visible from the roadside. So I think everybody knows who is bursting their crackers. But where is the administration? If you do something Yes.
So the story hasn't changed, and like one of our callers pointed out, it seemed like it only got worse over the last 24 hours. In terms of the kind of firecrackers that were burst, in terms of the kind of pollution levels that we're seeing over the last 24 hours, the figures are showing us the absolute true picture that nothing's changed on the ground. It's probably only getting worse and not any better. Thank you so much, Dr. Anil Gupta, also Atul Garg and Bhavreen Kandari for joining us on the broadcast this morning.